Hello, and welcome to episode number 19 of 18 Talks Skating. This is the last teen number episode. I know this. I kind of like just like saying it. Welcome to episode 19 of a Teen Talk Skating. Next week will be episode 20, but it's whatever. You know what I mean? I hope you guys are all doing well. I definitely have had a lot of rest. I'm done with school, thank the Lord, and everything in this world. Okay, but yeah, I've been having what I call kind of like a lazy week. I haven't been doing that much. I've been reading and doing some writing and watching tons of YouTube and stuff. And yeah, but of course I have been working on, notes for my new podcast episode, sorry. I really, really want to like ramp up the production of this podcast. I want to try to get like a theme song, and I don't really know how to do it, but I'm going to try to figure out how to do it. I want kind of like a opening theme kind of vibe, and then I want like transitions put into. I feel that'd be super fun. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. I need some sleep. I mean, I don't need sleep. I've been sleeping so much, but like I kind of need more sleep. I don't know why. I've been catching up on all my sleep debt from days of staying up for school and homework and whatnot. But anyway, we have a very interesting episode this week. I'll get to it later, but we do have a very fun program of the week. This program, to me, it never fails to make me smile, and it is an exhibition program, and I think this program is really famous for exhibition. It's probably one of like the best exhibition programs ever, and that is Javier Fernandez from Spain, his aerobics class little exhibition. If you don't know this program, have you been living under a rock? I'm kidding. But you need to go watch it because it's pure entertainment. It's so much fun. But basically, it's Javier Fernandez. It's like audio basically of him teaching an aerobics class. And I do that in air quotes. It's not really an aerobics class, obviously. It's on ice, blah, blah, blah. And he skates around. There's like a warm-up routine. And it's super fun. And then he switches outfit in the middle of the program. And he's super Javi. So he's like a superhero. He's like superhero outfit. He has like a cool like tank top and a cape and like a headband. And he has like these red socks on his skate. It makes him look like a really funny superhero. And then like another part of the program, someone comes out and like gets a bucket of water and throws it on him, but then he like gets back up and then he does like a cantilever, and it's so much fun to watch. He does jumps, and it doesn't even really feel like an exhibition program. I feel like I'm watching a whole entire show. Like it's only like, I don't know, 3 minutes long, but it feels like it's forever because it's so entertaining to watch. Every second he's doing something new. The audio is super funny. It's very exaggerated, very comedy. It's definitely meant for like a comedic purpose. It's so like exaggerated, and the emotions are so funny to watch. And it's just such an entertaining program. I love like the commitment with the outfit. He does some push-ups on the ice because we all love push-ups on the ice. He was the OG guy before Lewis Gibson did it on the ice too. But yeah, it is just so great. And I will say that even though it's very fun and everything, it still shows like his great qualities. Like I feel like this exhibition program, it really shows his great ability to do like lots of nice steps, intricate steps together. Some cool like Twizzle like moves are in there too. And this program is just so much fun. And I really want a lot more exhibitions like this that are like so theatrical, because I love the exhibition. I love the idea of the gala because it's like, let's let loose, let's have fun after that long terrible competition, and it's always so much fun to watch. I think Javier Fernandez does it really well. I know he did this exhibition for a couple seasons. I don't really have a specific favorite performance. He did do it at both 2014 and 2018 Olympics. I feel like both of those are amazing. And it's just so much fun to watch. And so definitely go check it out, Javier Fernandez Aerobics Class Exhibition. Some people just call it the Super Javi exhibition. And I love this program. Go check it out. Go have fun. It will make you smile. I guarantee you. And if you don't smile, then I will pay you back. You got some insurance. But this week we are having another video essay. I really have enjoyed doing these video essay kind of theme episodes, and you guys seem to be liking them too. I really like how they're more philosophical, I guess, and I really do enjoy that type of thing, that type of format. When I'm learning things a bit more philosophical, sociological perspective on something, and analyzing. Like, I'm a really big analyzing person when I read, when I write. Analyzing is so big for me, and I really enjoy doing these, and I love that you guys love that too, because it just motivates me to make more of these. But this episode, I actually just got the idea of this episode yesterday. This is coming out on Saturday, the 8th of June. I'm recording it on Friday, the 7th of June. But I just got the idea of this Thursday, the 6th of June. I did have an original mini-series in mind, but it doesn't feel right for me. It didn't really feel right with the flow of the podcast, and kind of the idea of it didn't seem, it wasn't too exciting, and if I don't like vibe with it, I don't want to like put something out that I personally don't enjoy. And so I didn't put it out, or I didn't, start making the notes and research and everything, because I just thought, like, I don't enjoy this idea really that much. I feel like you guys aren't really enjoy it. But this idea came into my mind, and this episode, it's 6 minutes and I haven't explained it. This episode, we are going to be talking about legends in figure skating, kind of like, who is who's famous in figure skating, like the idols, the legends of figure skating. And I want to really discuss fame in figure skating, because I think a lot of things come with fame in skating particularly. Obviously, fame is like celebrities and, pop culture and the media and all that. But I want to talk about that idea specifically in figure skating. And so, yeah, that is going to be this week's little episode. And I really do feel like this is really relevant in skating these days because of the world we live in. And so how that's affecting figure skating, I guess, because fame is so, such a, I don't know, such a, omniscient concept, I guess. It's all around us, right? We're always talking about famous people. We're always talking about celebrities. We're always talking about glamour. We're always talking about Hollywood. I will say this episode really reminded me of Taylor Swift, I guess, and how a lot of her songs can discuss fame and the effects of fame. And her celebrity life, how she's dealt with it, the paparazzi, the gossip, the magazine outlets or whatever. And so I really thought about that. This episode is not Taylor Swift themed, but I gotta bring her up again, because I don't know, that's my vibe. Oh my god, there's a bug on my wall. I'll get it later. Why is it crawling around? Let's discuss that. But yeah, fame and figure skating is what we are going to talk about. Specific legends in figure skating. Legends, meaning, it is very difficult to find in any sport. But I mean legends in the way that kind of the figureheads of the sport. Like, if we talk about tennis, how maybe we see, I've been watching random tennis, I mean, Serena Williams as a legend of tennis, or, I don't watch other sports, I'm sorry. In, like, gymnastics, maybe Simone Biles is the legend of the sport as we see her. Basketball, it's, like, LeBron James or Steph Curry, etc. And so I really want to discuss that idea of the legend in figure skating, who I think people consider the legends of figure skating, and the implications of fame. What factors into having fame, like what causes a person to have a lot of fame in skating. Should we really believe in legends in figure skating? And I want to talk about idolizing skiers as well, and end up with a nice little summary. So again, it's another video essay themed, but you guys really love these. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. I have definitely other ideas for these as well. I love doing these ones because they're so interesting, and it's definitely something I never really see people talk about in figure skating. So yeah, we're gonna get started. So the first thing I want to say is legend is hard to define in any sport. In my opinion, as I discussed, Serena Williams, Simone Biles, Steph Curry, LeBron James, I feel like they're all considered legends in their sport. But really what makes them legends it's deep, right? It's not, you might just say like, oh, because they win a bunch of things, or they score a lot of points for their team, or they're famous for, a new move that they did for maybe like Simone Biles, or, they scored a lot of points for Steph Curry, or they won tons of Grand Slams for Serena Williams, right? But I think being a legend is deeper than winning, if that makes sense. Yes, a lot of legends win a lot of things, but I don't think that necessarily means to be a legend you have to win everything, or you have to win a lot, right? That's a factor in it, obviously, and it helps if you won a lot to become a legend, I guess. But I don't think it's the main thing. But again, it's not really definable in my opinion. It's not really a definable term. Like, can you really put, can you really put, words to it that explain what it means? Like, Google says it is an extremely famous or notorious person, especially in a particular field. And I guess that's a very general term. It's not specific. That's general, right? That's definitely very, very general. It's just anyone famous or notorious in their field, right? And I feel like that's very, fame itself cannot be defined in my opinion. I don't think you can put words to the word fame. Like, popularity, I guess, but that just feels like a synonym, right? What does it really mean to be popular is what I kind of want to bring about in this episode. What does it really mean to be popular? What does it mean to be famous? And what happens when you're famous? What happens when you're really popular is what I'm talking about. I know this is crazy, and I know I'm a teen talking about wackadoodle things, but just bear with me, people, okay? And so the next segment of this, I want to talk about who I believe are considered legends in figure skating. And maybe kind of the reasons why I feel like they're legends in figure skating. First example I can think about, I think this is the most heavily cited example of a legend in figure skating, and I think a lot of people know him, Yuzuru Hanyu, obviously. I really do think Yuzuru Hanyu is a legend, in my opinion, too, and I think a lot of people see him as, like, a legend. He's one of the greatest of all time, indisputable, no one's better than him, and I want to kind of explain why in figure skating, right? Why is Yuzuru Hanyu this legend in figure skating? And there's so many factors to it. Yes, he's a 2-time Olympic champion, but is that it? No, he's won worlds, he's won 4 continents, he's won Grand Prix finals, right? He's won a lot, great. But that doesn't make him a legend. Like, a bunch of people won a lot, but do we necessarily consider them legends? Not really, right? But Yuzuru Hanyu, I feel like a big reason why is his story, right? He came from Japan. Growing up, he had asthma as a kid, and, he really worked hard in figure skating, right? I believe that's the story. I'm very sorry if I'm getting this wrong. But, he really grew up, and he became a better and better skater every year. We had the incident at the 2015 Cup of China when he crashed into Yanhan, I believe, and he, still fought on, and he's seen as this very inspirational, motivational. He didn't give up despite, his injuries in this last season too. He was chasing the quad axel. That kind of story part is a big part of it, I believe, but also marketing in a way, right? I think the media often markets Yuzuru Hanyu as the greatest, and that adds to it, right? It's kind of like a bandwagon effect. If the marketing says Yuzuru Hanyu is great, then I think Yuzuru Hanyu is great too, right? And I don't mean to discredit Yuzuru Hanyu at all. He's an amazing, amazing skater with so many accomplishments. But there's more than just winning medals, and there's more than just a story. Marketing side, sponsorships as well, I feel like is really important. Sponsorships with him. And other skaters, not just Yuzuru, that I want to explain. And I want to say that each skater is a legend in a different-ish way. Some of them have common themes, like they won a lot or whatever. And so I really want to explain that. But Michelle Kwan, for example, Michelle Kwan is a 5-time world champion, I believe, and, 8-time U.S. national champion. She won a lot, clearly, but I really do think a bit of her story and a bit of the reason why she's so popular is her longevity, and alongside that longevity, her determination to not give up especially after 1988, how she didn't win the gold. She kept on going. 2002, she tried to go to 2006, but she got injured at the Olympics. Dang it. But you know, that view, and also her programs as well, right? She was seen as such an elegant artist with such beautiful programs. And so I feel like people really see Michelle Kwan as that example. Her spiral, I think she's iconic for her spiral as well. And, you know, now she's even famous, not even for figure skating. Now she's, like, U.S. ambassador to Belize or whatever, which is absolutely crazy. And I feel like she's so popular for that, too. And so, you know, even though she's retired, she's continued to remain in the public eye, perhaps, is another reason why adding to that popularity. Obviously, that's not the only reason. But, again, maybe another different reason, Katarina Witt. I feel like one reason why Katarina Witt is such considered a legend in figure skating. Yes, she won the Olympics twice, 1984, 1988. But Battle of the Carmens, I feel like, is one reason why she is so popular. People remember her for Carmen as being the ultimate Carmen on the ice. There's just no one better than Katarina Witt to be Carmen on the ice. And people remember Battle of the Carmens as Katarina Witt from East Germany versus Debbie Thomas from the USA. You know, kind of it's not a conflict, but it was seen as kind of like a competition between the two skaters, not even the two skaters, but also the two countries, as you know. And so because Katarina Witt came out as the victor of the so-called Battle of the Carmens, she won first and Debbie Thomas got third at the Olympics. I really do feel like that adds to Katarina Witt's legend status, right? On top of being a great figure skater, on top of being, I believe she was the first to land triple flip, first woman to land triple flip in competition, right? Something like that. But on top of that, the Battle of Carmen, I feel like really influenced her and her legendary status, right? That's kind of part of her story, her career. Yuna Kim is another big one for me. Yuna Kim came from, at the time, South Korea was not a huge skating country at all. They had not won any Olympic medals, any really medals at all in figure skating. But Yuna Kim came along and she became Olympic champion in 2010. She got the silver, should have been gold, in 2014. And I feel like that it was her story that made it so popular. You know, coming from a country that was not, you know, successful in figure skating, in South Korea, and then really bringing the nation together, and now the whole nation is like watching figure skating. They love figure skating. They love Yuna Kim. You know, she even lit the Olympic cauldron in 2018 Olympics just for her amazing achievements. She's ambassador to the Olympics. So I think in her case, it's her story, where she came from, her background, as well as a lot of support from Olympics. I know she's involved with a huge, like, sponsorships and such. She had her own ice show. What was it called? I don't actually remember what it's called. What is it called? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. All that ice, something like that, I forgot. But you know, Yuna Kim coming from a small country that didn't have a lot of skating and then becoming the best in the world, that's her story. I feel like that really added to her legendary status as we know now. Nathan Chen is another person I see as a legend in the sport. A lot of people say he's such a legend in the sport because of his status as the quad king, right? You know, he landed so many quads in one program. He landed so many quads in one competition that he became the so-called quad king. And he obviously won a lot of competition. All these skaters won a lot of competition. Nathan Chen, the Olympic champion, he's won worlds. And I will say, I feel like on Nathan Chen's part, there's a huge marketing push for him too. Like, I've seen so many things with Nathan Chen in it. So many, like, ad commercial, you know, he's been sponsored by Toyota. You know, so many brands have done things with Nathan Chen. So many, you know, so many brands, so many companies, etc., that have done sponsorship with Nathan, or, you know, he's worn the clothing, etc. I feel like I see Nathan Chen, like, everywhere, and, you know, that Quad King, combined with the titles, combined with his story, combined with the huge marketing push for him, especially in the US, I feel like, is what contributes a lot to his legendary status. I know I've only discussed men's and women's single skaters because, those are the disciplines I watch the most. But I will say there's other, in Paris and ice dance too, like Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir. Huge popularity for them, obviously. Probably the most famous ice dancers ever. To me, it's not just their 2 Olympic titles and their 1 Olympic silver medal. It's their technical ability as well and their artisticness. Obviously, we all know them for their Moulin Rouge and, their Carmen and their Mahler and how they're just so artistic to the point where, everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're in a romantic relationship, etc. They were just such talented artists on the ice. They worked so well together. And as a result of that, I really do feel like that as their legendary status and, how people perceive them as legends in the sport because, that artisticness, their chemistry on the ice, as they say, was just so strong, so powerful. Everyone believed, the story they were portraying. They were such great artists. Alongside with all the promotional stuff they did too, being on Ellen and, I had Rock That Rink or something. I forgot what their tour is called too. The tour across Canada, and just being really real like ambassadors in the sport. I feel like in ice dance in Canada, and kind of being national symbols. A lot of these skaters are national symbols for their country. I feel like that's another thing that makes them such huge legends in the sport. Pair skaters, there's legends in pair skating for sure, but then none of them come to my head immediately because I don't follow pair skating that closely. But there's legends in pair skating too. But yeah, I feel like in the pair disciplines, pairs and ice dance, it is a little bit different. There's 2 people, but they can both be legends because of their synergy, I guess, right? And so I've already kind of explained this throughout this segment about, who I consider legends in the sport, but I really want to talk about the factors influence fame, and I really do mean fame in quotation marks because can you really define fame? Again, not really in my opinion, but what I think makes them popular, at least, what I think makes them really well known in the sport. And one of these things is gonna sound really dumb, but I feel like being popular makes you more popular, if that makes sense. And I know this doesn't apply to everything. Being popular sometimes makes you less popular in the end. But I feel like if you're popular and a lot of people know about you, then, then more and more people will know about you, with continued competitions and marketing and sponsorships and whatnot. And I want to consider some of the important factors. I feel like one of them is being notable for landing a new jump in figure skating. For example, we see Ilya Malinin already as a legend in the making because of his quad axel. Yuzuru Hanyu landed the first quad loop in men's figure skating, which is absolutely insane. In women's skating, we had Midori Ito land the first triple axel. Who else do we consider legend? Tons and tons of skaters there. I'm really blanking right now. Oh my god. But yeah, people who landed a brand new jump. Who landed the first quad? Vern Taylor. I feel like he's also considered a legend in the sport. Other people. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Whoever's landed a brand new jump that has never been seen before. You know what I mean? And then artistic ability. There's some people who are legends, I feel, based on their artistic ability, or, that contributes at least. Yuzuru Hanyu, I feel like, is a big one. He was so artistic. Again, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir, artistic ability made them legends in the sport. Who else? Michelle Kwan, I feel like, had a huge emotional appeal with her pronouns and her skating because they were just so powerfully composed and everything, and I feel like her skating as well had a huge emotional impact on people. And I want to say another thing is if they interact with their fans, if skaters interact with their fans, and by that I mean do they do a lot of publicity stuff, fan meetings, autographs, kind of things like that, if I make sense. are they a celebrity? Not really are they a celebrity, but do they do things that are normally considered a celebrity thing? Like, do they do photos? Do they do autographs? Do they do, general fan interactions? Do they really thank their fans? And I feel like, and I don't want to say like, oh my gosh, if you do that, you will be famous, because I feel like that leads to like fake people being fake. But I feel like so many figure skaters are so kind and actually so genuine to really interact with their fans and really, sign autographs and have fan meetings at ice shows and competitions and whatnot, that really contribute to them being popular, because they're seen as like, oh, they're so approachable, they're so kind, they're so this and that. And that leads into character traits as well, portrayed both on and off the ice. Like, maybe a skater is really renowned and, known for their determination no matter what happens. Maybe if they ever fall on the ice, they still continue with a great performance no matter what, right? And so character traits are really important. Are they really confident on the ice? Are they really, maybe in interviews, they're like, I am going to win no matter what, Maybe they're known for a little snarkiness, maybe they're known for a little cockiness, and so that occurs both on the ice and their performance. I feel like through their that connects back to the artistic point, but also off the ice. In interviews and fan meetings, are they super kind? Are they super, maybe they're a little more what's the word? A little more reserved, I guess, but they're still like so confident. And, there's so many different people and so many different skaters. Story is a big one, right? Maybe they really faced struggles in their childhood, right? Maybe, their family didn't have a lot of money. Skating is super expensive. Maybe their family didn't have a lot of money to pay for skating. Or another thing is like, maybe they got a lot of injuries in their career and they had to have tons of surgery and physical therapy, and now they're returning to be a legend and they end up overcoming that challenge. Or, maybe they did really bad at a lot of competitions and then they just built themselves forward, propelled themselves to become a better skater, and then they started winning more. There's just so many struggles that a skater can go through, because figure skating is such a sport where struggles are so common and, challenges are so common. Maybe, some, accident happened when they were younger, or, an incident in their personal life, or, maybe they were seen as someone great and now they're not great anymore, or like they're not seen as great anymore. I feel like story plays a big part into popularity. If a skater is like, they came from struggles and then they really overrose that, or overcame that, that's like such a beautiful story to have, obviously. And I feel like that does lead to becoming a legend, because you had so much struggle, you had everything against you, and you still overcame that no matter what. I feel like that's a huge part of that story that figure skating fans look for in terms of like, popularity and legendary status. Life is kind of part of that too. I already kind of explained. Maybe they don't come from a big skating nation like Unikim. Maybe they don't come from a nation where figure skating is really popular, but yet they still become the best in the world. Yeah, Unikim is a huge example of that. Tons of other skaters as well from, smaller countries that don't have big federations, but are still, gosh, I can't talk these days. But they still overcome that challenge. Marketing, I had to say, I feel like marketing is important in becoming a legend, because it's how the media like portrays you. I don't even mean marketing in the way that like, they're putting up posters and photos of a skater or something, but I mean in the way that like the media portrays such skater, Like, for instance, Nathan Chen, I don't know, I talked about as being a skater who I really thought was marketed really well in the US, especially with so many like commercials and deals, and through the Olympics he was heavily marketed and etc. So there's definitely two sides. There's domestic marketing is from their own country. So again, Nathan Chen, the US, the Toyota deals, the whatever else he did, right? Or whoever, Yuzuru Hanyu, he's seen in Japanese news as like super, super crazy, and figure skating is already very popular in Japan, and so just him being the best makes it even more of a legend for being the best in his country. And international marketing as well, right? The international news. How does the international news portray you as a skater? Especially the Olympics. I really feel like the Olympics is important. You know, the Olympics, like, news, or, like, the big media outlets. You know, NPR has talked about Ilya Malinin, or, you know, the BBC does this, or the New York Times writes about this, right? The more international marketing about a skater is really important as well. And, you know, the marketing of their story, like, you know, sometimes before competitions, they have a little tidbit about such skaters, where they come from, their story, etc. And I feel like that really helps with it too. And I really want to, like, really push this forward. Like, really, really do want to push this forward. That I don't think anyone is famous just for one thing, even though it might seem like that. Me, like, I don't think in the future Ilya Malina is going to be famous just because of the quad axel. I think because he's won a lot, I think that factors into it as well. So I really want to push for the message that fame is a result of a combination of things, not just one factor necessarily. You know, one factor might be more dominant, I guess, than other ones, but I would not say fame is ever, in any case, not just figure skating, I wouldn't say fame is just dependent on one little factor. I feel like that's not what fame really is, even if I can't define fame, I guess. It's a little philosophical, people. The next segment of this is the pros and cons of fame. The positive effects and the negative effects of legendary status, right? And this is really relevant for celebrities as well, I feel like. But in figure skating, I really want to talk about figure skating and how I believe being a legend, considered a legend, for being a legend affects a skater in positive and negative ways. I don't know why it took so long to formulate that sentence. I'm sorry, guys. This episode's great. Okay, but sponsorships is a big one that's positive. I feel like if you're a really good skater, then you get a lot of sponsorships, and obviously with sponsorships comes money, and so if you have money, then you can pay for training, right? And so that's just a really basic one. I feel like if you're a legend, you tend to get a lot more sponsorships, money, and, you know, like, stuff like that, I guess. I don't really know. Another thing I want to suggest, a lot of people have pointed this out before, that people believe that the more popular you are, the better you are scored. So if you're already considered a legend and you're still competing, people, I don't want to say that it's true at all, because that it might be true, it might be wrong, I don't know. You know, maybe it is kind of true, I don't know. But people point out that, like, it seems like the skaters who are marketed a little bit more, the skaters who are seen as a little more popular per se, get scored a little more, and even if they do falter, they scored a little less harshly than if they were, you know, not a big, huge, popular skater. I see a lot of people say, like, you know, so-and-so who is super popular, they should not have qualified to the free skate. Like, their show program was not their best ability. I've seen that a few times at Worlds, European sport continents, like that. Like, people say, like, you know, the skater is really, really popular, really, really well-loved in the community, but they don't have a really good show program. People say, like, that should not have qualified at all. Like, that should not have qualified. Another thing is, like, fans, obviously. Like, when you retire from the sport and you're considered a legend in the sport, people are just so, like, not depressed, like, hold on, guys, my throat is dying. People are kind of like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like, they're crying. Not crying, but I don't want to say they're crying, but, like, they're crying. They're crying because their favorite skater, like, retired, and, like, you know, they're also sad about what happened now, and, you know, now they can't, how do you say, now they can't really, like, process that happened, And now they're kind of sad. And, like, you know, that happens to my favorite skaters, too. Like, they retire, and I'm like, no, don't retire. Like, I need to see you for, like, one more season, please. Etc. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you retire, if you're a legend in the sport, people desire you back, basically. And obviously, if you are a legend in the sport, then if you're a legend in the sport, I really do feel like you leave behind a huge legacy and people remember you forever, right? And that's amazing. What happens then, I guess, is pretty amazing. And, you know, you're seen as a legend forever, right? And you're seen as a legend, you know, of this sport that's not huge, right? Basically not huge. And you're seen as, like, a legend on par with, you know, maybe people you've watched your whole childhood, the people you remember people used to talk about, or, you know, etc. And so I really do feel like that is really huge in figure skating as well, that legacy you leave behind, right? Because, you know, it's not a huge sport. We don't have, like, up-and-coming stars every single second. I feel like there's, like, a few shooting stars in the sport. And when they become legends, then it's crazy. And they leave behind a huge legacy for other skaters to follow too. And I feel like that's kind of a cycle of legends. If one legend becomes a legend, one skater becomes a legend, they end up inspiring other skaters. And perhaps those skaters also become legends. And I feel like it's a bit of a cycle. Like, you know, I have no idea who people are inspired by. I mean, like, you know, maybe I have no idea. Let me search that. Maybe, like, I have no idea, guys. Maybe, you know, said skater is inspired by said legend. Maybe, you know, I know maybe one skater, like, from Korea is super inspired by Yoona Kim, right? And so super inspired by Yoona Kim, and, like, maybe that skater also becomes a legend when they grow up. Like, that's kind of what I see as, like, as happening in a cycle. But, you know, there's also negative effects of legendary status, you know, because fame is not like super positive. Well, it is positive in a way. We think of fame as a positive thing, but fame has its bad side as well, if that makes sense. Fame is not pretty princess perfect. Fame is sometimes very hard, and I feel like that is really shown in figure skating sometimes. You know, maybe I want to discuss Taylor Swift again, but Taylor Swift has a lot of songs where she kind of discusses, like, when she's famous, when you're famous, and you mess up, you do something bad, you do something considered wrong, like, you get 10 times the amount of backlash, you know, 1,000,000 times the backlash and the hate you get if you weren't famous, if that makes sense, right? Like, you do one thing wrong and it's over, right? I feel like that's kind of discussed in her music. I know this is not a Taylor Swift podcast, I'm sorry. But I feel like the same thing is shown in figure skating. When a skater is seen as a legend, think about it, right? If they mess up, if they falter, I feel like it leads to a lot of hate and a lot of, like, why weren't you better? Like, what happened to you? Like, why were you not... I'm very sorry if you can hear outside my room, everybody, but I don't know what my family's doing. But I really... Gosh, that too, I don't know. But I really do feel like if you mess up once, you're done in the sport. People are like, oh my gosh, she or he or they can't do their lift. They can't do this jump. They can't do this. They can't do that. Oh my gosh, they mess up once, you're going to mess up the next 100 competitions. I feel like that's a really common theme in figure skating that I see, and it's so awful, right? Like, they mess up once and now everyone is against them. Like, they're never going to, like, have fans ever again. There's just never... The hate shines through a lot in figure skating, which is so super duper unfortunate in the sport. And then something lighter, it's loss of sponsorships. I feel like, you know, when you don't do so well in the sport and you kind of not lose your legend, but you were kind of considered a legend and you don't do so well. Like sponsorships get lost and money gets lost. The mental side of sport. This is a really important point. Mental health in the sport is, I feel, in my opinion, is still a topic that is kind of stigmatized and not heavily discussed. I'm so glad that we've had skaters such as, Gracie Gold and Amber Glenn, who have talked about mental health in the sport and how it is so important that figure skaters in particular take care of their mental health, because it's such a solo sport. It's such a solo or, a duo sport that's just so personal. And so it can be so harmful to mental health and emotional health. And, I'm so happy that we have people like them, Amber Glenn, Greg Siegel, who are talking about mental health in the sport, because it needs to be discussed. Because maybe like you're going to be a legend, right? You're seen as the next big thing. You are literally the next, you are you're the next, you're the next Yuzuru Hanyu, you're the next Michelle Kwan, you're the next Yuna Kim. And then when you kind of falter, and then people are like, oh no, you're not the next this, you're not the next that anymore, you're not the next big thing, you are just a failure. And I feel like that is done and facing a lot in the community is kind of toxic. Fans can be really toxic. Fans of the sport can be really toxic towards certain skaters because they say this or they do that, and it's just awful. But mental health, I really do feel like it needs to be discussed in the sport. I'm not a skater myself, but knowing like what other skaters, or not others, I'm not a skater, knowing what skaters have gone through and have, come out publicly about, it's just huge, and it's a huge issue. I feel like mental health in the sport. And so I feel like it kind of leads to more backlash, and the sport can be, I discussed this in the last little ranting episode, the sport can be very unforgivable. It is not forgiving at all. If you mess up once, it's really unfortunate, man. And I really do feel like this sport has to change its mindset about failure sometimes. Or not even failure, making mistakes. Like, making a mistake is okay, and people are just so hateful. People are just so like, no, you're not good anymore. And yeah, I feel like that's the negative side of legendary status. So there is a positive side, but it's always, in any situation, equally important to discuss the negative side of figure skating. And I really do feel like that is so important to consider. And so I really want to end with these two last questions. I know that episode's getting long, and I'm very sorry, people. The first question, should we limit the idea of legend? Is there a certain criteria you need to fulfill to become legend? And in my opinion, it's a no. It's a definite no. I don't think legend is really definable in the first place, and I feel like you shouldn't limit the idea of legend. Because, a person could be a legend to one person, a skater could be a legend to one person, but not a legend in the mind of another. And I feel like everyone has their own personal legends, and there's some, more widely agreed upon legends, such as Yuzuru Hanyu. But some people, say maybe Yuzuru Hanyu isn't a legend. In my opinion, he's not a legend. And, that's totally fine. That's an opinion, and you shouldn't hate on that. And so I feel like the idea of fame, the idea of legend, it's a little like unnecessary to fight over it, And the other question, should we idolize skaters? And by idolizing, I mean just like look up to them as like our pride and joy. And I think the idea of idolizing, it's okay in a healthy capacity. There are some messed up people out there who do messed up things to people that they so-called idolize, but just are really creepy over. But, there's some skaters I just really look up to, and I think that type of idolization, that type of like, I really look up to this skater. They got me through hard times by watching their performances. They inspire me every day. They motivate me to keep on going with my training or my school studies or my work or, whatever you have going on in your life. That type of idolization is, like, healthy. That's okay. And, like, that's why we love figure skating, right? We love these skaters. We love their stories. And we look up to them as, like, prime examples of you can do it no matter what. But the other, obviously, the flip side of that is like the creepy people who like stalk people and like just do mess up things. Like I'm like, please don't do that, people. It's not healthy. Um, yeah, it's not healthy. Like celebrity culture sometimes can be kind of insane to the fans. Like, oh my gosh, like people stalking you, just don't stalk people. I'm sorry, I don't know if that needs to be said, but literally, like, yeah. But healthy idolization, looking up to somebody to meet, maybe like, oh my gosh, I really look up to them. I love them so much. I'll support them no matter what they do. That's a healthy type of idolization. But the unhealthy type is a no go on the Teen Talk Skating podcast, okay? And so I really want to end up this episode, right? What did we discuss? You know, I'm so professional. We discussed how I really don't feel like there's an idea, a main definition of legend or a main definition of fame. We discussed some examples of fame, such as Yu Hanyu, Nathan Chen, Yuna Kim, Katarina Witt, Michelle Kwan, Tessa Virtue, Scott Moyer, etc. We discussed what really factors into having a lot of fame in figure skating. We discussed both the strong positive sides, but also the very drastic negative sides of being a legend, of having fame in figure skating. We discussed the idea of limiting the idea of legend, and we discussed the idolization of figure skaters. And I really do feel like overall, every skater can be a legend in their own right. And every person can be a legend in their own right too. You listening to this podcast are a legend. You know that? Everyone's a legend in their own right. Every skater's a legend, every person's a legend based on their, you know, whatever factors I discuss. And there's more factors than the ones I discussed. It's also a personal thing, right? Maybe one person just really likes this skater a lot. There's just such a legend for them. And for another person, it's not. And that's totally okay. And fame is both a blessing and a curse in the sport. And I really do feel like I hope that's going to change. It's one of those things. I hope it's going to change to be just a blessing. But I really don't feel like it is going to change. I think the curse of fame is always going to be important for your skating. Yeah, this whole discussion really reminds me of Taylor Swift's new song, Clarabo. Go listen to it too if you haven't. It's so good. But it's about fame, and it's good and it's bad. You know what I mean? And yeah. So I hope you guys really enjoy this episode of a Teen Talk Skating. I really did enjoy this episode. I really feel like this is a topic I was very passionate about. And, you know, maybe I want to do, if you guys want to see another similar episode about fame and popularity and whatnot, let me know in the little comments or the little question box. Next week's episode, do I have any idea what it's going to be? No. Our Grand Prix assignment's going to come out? Probably not. I'm really praying. I think they're going to come out in the later half of this month, which is fine. But I will definitely come up with something interesting to talk about. I really do. I really enjoy these little more video essay, philosophical analysis ideas of skating. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I love that you guys love it. So I really do hope that you love this episode just as much as I did recording it. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to a Teen Talk Skating episode 19, the last teen episode. Yeah, and bye-bye.